So first of all, let me say that I agree 100%. Now that we got that out of the way, um, they've done studies on criminals and trying to understand what makes people criminal. And it's not that they're evil, it's not that they're born vastly different from you or I. It's that criminals tend to have impulsive behavior. They tend to act on their impulses before thinking about the consequences. Now, civilized people are very conscious, and they tend to think about the consequences of their actions before they act. Before they do something rash, they'll stop, they'll slow down, they'll consider the consequences of what they're doing. Someone who's very impulsive is not thinking about the future at all. This is probably one of the reasons why so many oppose capital punishment and refuse to accept the standard argument that it's a deterrent. The people committing violent crimes are not thinking about the consequences, and there's no deterrence. If someone's thinking about the consequences, certainly life imprisonment would be enough of a deterrent. It's not like adding a crueler punishment is going to deter anyone else. The fact is that the people committing the crimes are not thinking about the consequences, and there's no deterrence at all, no deterrence factor. So someone who's impulsive is going to do it probably no matter what, all right? But using this as an excuse, saying that the woman was asking for it, is far different. It's like saying you shouldn't ever get into an argument with anyone because they might murder you, all right? Well, that's just ridiculous. It's sheer and total intimidation, all right? My opinion is that people who act on their impulses need to be taken out of society, taken out of civilized society, because they just don't belong. And using this as an excuse is just, it's mind-boggling. I think it's probably a throwback to religious underpinnings. In this country, Puritans, where any public display of sex or sensuality or eroticism was strictly taboo. Any idea that a woman had a sexuality to her was taboo in Puritan society, and a lot of that is carried over, unfortunately. You see it with other religions too. For example, Islam, where a woman isn't even allowed to show her face, is not allowed to walk by herself in public because she's asking for it. That to me is just sheer intimidation tactics against women, and it's suppressing women's rights because men can't control their impulses. That's ridiculous. Men who can't control their impulses don't belong in a free society. It's as simple as that. Now, one of the problems with rape is that it's in some cases very difficult to prove. And when it comes to cases of let's say trying to justify an abortion because of rape, I don't think the court belongs in there at all. If a woman decides not to press charges because she thinks it's too difficult to prove or it's too embarrassing for her, she would just rather put the whole thing behind her, I think that's her choice. And what she decides to do with her body after that should be completely her choice. I would applaud the bravery of women who would come forward after being raped to make sure these individuals get taken out of society because they don't belong there. And I would encourage them with this idea that that you have suffered this trauma, and by bringing this individual to justice, you may be preventing other rapes, because certainly someone who's done it once is very capable of doing it again. And the idea that, that there are a lot of serial rapists out there, people who get away with it, so they do it over and over again. Once a person has done it once, it becomes much easier, especially when they get away with it. So I would encourage women to press charges, but I understand if they don't, and that is completely their own choice. That is something that should be entirely up to them. I don't think the state has any say in this, and any say at all in what a woman decides to do after being raped. So, anyways, I hope we can dump this Puritanism. I think women should be free to express their sensuality in any way they wish. Expose any part of their body they wish. Say anything they wish. I think men have got to learn to keep it in their pants. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say for now. Thanks. Bye.